This is Community Connect, and today we are going to talk about imposter syndrome. So before we start, let's just come together in our shared space, and then we are going to do this thing that I've just recently been focusing a lot on, and it's called EFT tapping, which is called Emotional Freedom Tapping Technique, I think, something like that. So you can keep your eyes open. I'm going to explain a little bit of how it works. So we are going to be doing tapping with your in your hands. You can use 2 fingers, 3 fingers, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so you can tap on the fleshy bit of your arm, whichever palm you want. You can do that. And then we're going to tap on our eyebrows, and then below the eye, and then at the upper lip, chin, just below your collarbone, the chest here, and then the side of your body, the side on both sides. I like to do it both sides like that, like a little hug, and that's just how I do it. So, okay. Hi Shahida, I'm going to mute you for a little bit if I can. And then I welcome you to chat thanks. Okay, so we're going to come together. You can close your eyes or lower your gaze down. And we are going to do some tapping on our hands. So we'll start with here. Okay. Just gently, you can switch hands if you want. Take a few deep breaths. See what's coming up for you. And we're going to say a few words. I'm going to say a few words and see what comes up for you for today. Even though I'm feeling sad, I can accept how I feel. Even though I'm feeling overwhelmed, I can accept how I feel. Tapping the eyebrows. Now tapping the bottom of your eye. Even though I'm feeling stressed, I can accept how I feel. The upper lip, even though I'm feeling overwhelmed, I can accept how I feel. And then your chin, just between your chin and your lip. Even though I'm feeling stressed, I can accept how I feel. And then your chest, just below your collarbone. Even though I'm feeling I accept how I feel. And just the side of your arm, just below your armpits. Even though I'm feeling I can accept how I feel. Just going back to the hand again, the side of the palm. Even though I'm feeling distracted, I can accept how I feel. Up to the eyebrows, above the eyebrows. Even though I'm feeling confused, I can accept how I feel. Even though under your eye, I'm feeling I can accept how I feel. Upper lip, even though I'm feeling. I can accept how I feel. Chin, just above your chin, even though I'm feeling. I can accept how I feel. Chest, even though I'm feeling. I can accept how I feel. Side of the body, even though I'm feeling. I can accept how I feel. We'll go one last round. Even though I'm feeling, I can accept how I feel. Even though I'm feeling, I can accept how I feel. Under the eye, even though I'm feeling, I can accept how I feel. Even though upper lip, I'm feeling, I can accept how I feel. Chin, even though I'm feeling, I can accept how I feel. Side of the ball, chest, even though I'm feeling, I can accept how I feel. Even though I'm feeling, I can accept how I feel. You can take one deep breath in. You can open your eyes and join us in this shared space. Try to turn on this light. Okay, so would you like to tell me how was this experience? What you feel that's different from our usual meditation that we do? Anybody would like to share?
Hi Cheryl, I think it's different in a sense when you tap on the parts where the different parts, then you feel the sensation at that different parts. So before that, you didn't really feel like the different parts, and then when we go to each individual part, then you feel okay. There's these different parts of your body. Yeah, interesting. So
Does that
my
make you
first
feel
time,
more grounded?
yeah, like to come to the present here and now.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard for us to, when we hear things, it's a bit hard for us to come down to where our body is. And when we are tapping, it gives us a physical sensation. So it's a stronger anchor. That's nice. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else has a different experience? Kyra, anything that you'd like to share or Jinsing? Okay, so today I'm talking about imposter syndrome. I sent you guys a link on the explanation of what the imposter syndrome is.
I was able to answer myself just now.
Oh,
No
yeah.
chat.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you just now, Kyra. Yeah, now I can hear you.
Sorry to just interrupt like that. But back to your question just now, I
No
find it
problem.
very hard to feel things during meditation. Yeah, maybe I'm not at the stage yet where I can just really be there and sit down. Or maybe I haven't really tried hard enough. Yeah, but I like this one because, like what Shahida says, that the tapping brings the sensation, so you're more focused. Yeah. So it's also quite coincidentally recently I've been doing facial yoga or facial exercise, whatever you call it. So some of it I really like it, which is the under eye and the upper lip one. Thank you.
The under eye and
Upper
where
lip.
again? I didn't hear the
Upper lip.
last bit.
Yes. Yes. This one is.
Upper lip, so here. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I do get that sometimes it can be hard for people to experience, and there's just something about touch, right? And it's scientifically actually proven by scientists that when we touch ourselves, even though this is tapping, it actually produces hormones to calm yourself down. So that's why it has this more calming effect as well. And one of the longest nerves that runs through our entire body is called the vagus nerve, and it starts, I don't know, somewhere from here. So it starts from here and all the way down to the whole body. And so when we tap this part of our body, we are actually also calming this vagus nerve. So yeah, I feel it the most here too when I tap up here, and also because I've got sinus all the time. So like tapping it also really helps me. But also that's where the vagus nerve is lah. Vagus nerve helps to calm our emotional aspect. So yeah, so that's something interesting. Okay, so we're talking about imposter syndrome. And I gave you a link earlier on what the imposter syndrome is. And so I guess, it's really a various different ways of it being, because I'm going to just read off what it says on the definition for imposter syndrome, which is basically imposter syndrome means that you feel restless, nervousness. It may manifest in self-talk, and you might have symptoms of anxiety or depression if you're serious. And it is normally, happen in a place where in an area where you excel, and yet you have this type of self-doubt. So basically, that's what imposter syndrome is. So there are obviously various types of imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome at work, where you feel that or as a student, that you feel that you're not doing so well in school, even though you're doing really well, it's the kind of feeling. It happens a lot in parents, especially in mothers, where mothers have this feeling of not being able to do enough. So in this, I think I sent you the Very Well Mind link. And in that link, they talk about different types of imposter syndrome. Let me see if I can find it. Different types of imposter syndrome. You have the perfectionists, you have the experts, the natural genius, the soloist, the super person. So the perfectionist, you know what that is. An expert means like, we feel like they haven't reached the expert stage, so they cannot comment or they cannot say anything. In natural genius, it is like you find that you don't have you're not good enough because you're not intelligent enough, or you're not competent enough, and it takes you a very long time to master the skill. In soloists, it means like you cannot ask for help. Whatever you do, like you find that you have to always not say cannot offer. You're always asking. You're very unsure about whether you're actually reaching that stage or not. In super person, it means that you have to constantly work very, very hard because you feel like you're never good enough, so you have to work harder than the people around you. So just based on these 5 types of imposter syndrome, I guess different articles writes in different ways what the different types of imposter syndromes are. But just based on this definition, which one do you think you are the closest to? And how do you think it manifests in your life? Or you don't have any at all, which is great. But if you do have, which ones do you think is the one that is closest to what you are experiencing? Anybody would like to share?
It's hard to say, Cheryl. I'm still thinking about it. Why don't you share your experiences so that we can feel about it first? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm done. Um, I think I could be the perfectionist. I think I might also be the super person, or I might be also the natural genius. I feel like there's so many parts of me that could be an imposter syndrome. And I think whatever the case is, I think why I'm experiencing this is partly because of my childhood. So I'm a late bloomer, and I wasn't very good at my studies at the beginning. And people will make fun of me, right? My parents, actually, my dad to be exact. So I never felt like I was good enough in that aspect, and so this has always been like a chip on my shoulder, right? To that I feel like I'm not enough because I'm not good enough in terms of my studies, even though I know it's not true, right? So yeah, so that's me. And I think my family background has shaped me in that aspect. Yeah. Shahida, you want to say something?
Yeah. Sorry, I got disconnected just now. I think that for me, the natural genius, like when I started this homeschool journey, like I feel like I really don't know a lot of things, and then like suddenly when sometimes you go for play dates or things like that, like the mothers like know everything, or you can go to them. So I will like just okay, I should just keep quiet because they do everything and I don't know. And then sorry, the fourth one
The fourth one
the
is the
super
soloist
no, the super person.
super
I
person.
think also because like when I was in school, I'm always in the what's that called, like the bottom, like in a class like F9 and things like that. So I feel like I never ever like going to be good enough like everyone else. So I think it also affect my motherhood because like my brothers, both brothers, their wife also give birth the same year as me. So like our son are all at the same age. So every time when we meet, like they will talk about their son and things like, and it's also boy. So every time they will talk about their son, it's like that. I always feel like there's something that it's not good enough, like in terms of it could be like like they already like off diaper and they already like eating so many things, not so picky and things like that. I'll feel like, oh my god, what is it like because of me? Like I don't know so many things and things like that. So sometimes I like don't want to meet them because of all that thing. Yeah.
I recently have this experience. Recently, in the recent few months, I would say. I have this friend um, who has the same age as my son, is the same age as her son. And then I see her post stuff on Instagram, and I'll be like, oh, why am I not doing that? Like, oh, I don't have this like envy, wish.
Oh, my child is screaming. Hold on now.
Actually, I'm just thinking imposter syndrome means that you are actually good in it, but then you feel you're not good in it, right? My question is, what if you feel that you're not even at the stage whereby you are truly good in it yet? Is that still considered imposter syndrome, or is it more like you are truly aware that you have not reached that stage, or you are just having low self confidence? Yeah. Okay, um, I think I'm a little bit more of the expert and the natural genius, I guess, in different ways. In different ways. In the sense whereby, how should I don't know how to put it, but when I look at how people do it in social media, or maybe my friends talk about homeschooling, then I realize that sometimes, or maybe it's the language, the way they put it is so, the words they use, the vocab they use is so education centered. Yeah, I feel that it's the kind of mainstream vocab, mainstream words that people will catch on, people will like, and people will align and feel with, and I feel that the words I use and the thoughts that I have in my mind, right, are a little bit different from that. Yeah. So this is what I feel, and that is of course in the area of parenting. But it's also in maybe not last month, last year. I also feel that I have I'm aware that I have a lot more self doubt in myself last year. That means that I am introspecting myself, and then I will critique which parts I've not done well. And in a sense, critique is supposed to be a positive feedback for you to improve. But I realized that the more I critique over the months last year, the more I feel lousy. Yeah, the more I feel lousy about it. So it didn't actually make me feel better. It made me feel worse, and it made me feel smaller about myself. Yeah, this is homeschooling, yes, and also out of homeschooling, that means my own personal development journey. I also feel that way. Yeah, so when I see people who are very self assured, people who are very confident, actually, I do admire this trait a lot because I wish to get there. I wish to be there as well.
Hey, sorry, because my kids are around here and making a lot of noise. I think for me, maybe it's more of like living up to expectations. Yeah, then I feel like maybe whatever I'm doing is not enough. Yeah, even just now, I just met a friend, and she's like, "Are you sure you're going to you want to homeschool your girls? Like you're so busy. Okay, what if you shortchange them? You know that kind of thing." But I think yeah, but also I think yes, I was. But for me, I'm more of like I think that there's no perfect solution to anything. Yeah, so I feel if I make this choice, then it's something. I mean, I see that there's merit in it, and I don't need to convince other people. Yeah, but that's that lah. More But another more, the part that gets to me more will be in the area of like the expectations as maybe like housekeeping, which is what my husband has more expectations. And then, yeah, I've been like wondering about it more often. Yeah, which this one, actually, I'm still not sure does it count as imposter syndrome, because I know that I'm really bad at it. Yeah, yeah, so I'm also not sure. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I'm still here. Okay, great. Um, yeah. So yeah, I would say that it can be quite difficult to really identify whether you're going through that or not. After all, this isn't real medical condition, right? It's sort of like a gray area feeling, or maybe even a psychological term that people would use. So it's there is no like clear cut that says, oh, this is imposter syndrome and this isn't, right? So that will be quite hard to tell. But at the end of the day, it's the tone in your head that you need to take note of. What is the tone that is playing out in your head, right? Like I said just now, it's very easy for you. It could be seen as very positively, in a positive light, that this is spurring me on and this is making me go forth and become better. But it also could be on the other side that this critic is stopping you from believing in yourself and having that ability to be able to take on greater things because you're afraid, right? So it's really a double-edged sword in that sense. So check the tone of what you're saying in your head, right? Is this tone helpful, or is this tone not so helpful, right? Is this tone really, really, making you feel good about yourself, or is it making you feel bad about yourself? So if, say, for example, you are thinking of, I should go out with this person because this person is full of knowledge and I should learn from this person. How does that, what does that tone tell you? Is it like a positive tone, like, oh, I look forward to meeting this person and learning from this person? Or is it like, oh, like, yes, I acknowledge that she's very good, but it doesn't make me feel good. I feel lousy about myself. So what is the tone that you're telling yourself in your head? If that tone is negative, that means that you're probably falling closer to the imposter syndrome rather than it being really helpful. Does that make sense? Is that a good way of benchmarking in that sense? Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there are a few things. I don't know which one. Let me just double check what this article wrote. Example, science causes. So they talk about some causes, coping. Okay, so at the bottom of this article, there's also about coping with imposter syndrome. So what you can do. So you can read that on your own. But I want to hear if anybody would like to share what you think are your coping coping strategies for this when you do realize that you're going through a imposter syndrome period symptoms. Do you have anything on the top of your head?
Actually, for me, I had this like a lot of self doubt the past few months, but getting off social media really helps. So I'm like off Instagram, and then I really feel, because every time when I scroll and then like you see, like you look through other moms and then you like, oh, they're doing so many things, they're not doing this, and then there's always like, oh, I'm not doing good enough, I'm not doing good enough. So I think one is like getting off social media just really helps, and then like I think you shared with me the other time, like writing down like why I want to do this and things like that. So like for me, like example when I'm with my sister-in-law, right? So like because they don't homeschool their child, so like every time when they like talk about their kids and things like that, and then I was just like, okay, then after I go back, okay, I remind myself when I want to do certain things differently and things like that. So I think writing it down helps, and being off social media really helps for me lah, because I'm not strong enough. Yeah.
No, I mean social media is very tough. I mean, it's just, like, what social media is, right? People are just showing really the good side of it. They don't, most of the time, they don't show you the bad side of it, the times that they're not doing anything with their kids, the times where, they're shouting at their kids, the times that, their house is a mess. People don't show these type of things. People show you like, oh, look, I achieved this. Oh, look. So obviously there's a positive bias to all the information that we see, and we think that everybody else is better than us, but truly, are they really all better than us, right? So yeah, definitely getting off social media is great. But for me, in this case, it's just one particular person. I don't know why. It's just this particular person that just triggers me. The rest, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. It's good for you. But for this particular person, I'm like, oh, it's just very strange. But yeah, I did the same thing. I just reduced the number of the follows, or like to see the things, the pictures, you can like reduce the frequency that it will show up for you. So that will be something that we can do. But that is just copying the symptom, right? Copying this particular thing. What I feel that we should go deeper is what you just talked about, Shahida, which is, why do we feel like that? So we do a inquiry into ourselves and try to figure out, oh, why is this a trigger? Why is this point or this person or this group of people affect me so much? Like, shouldn't I just be my own person, and should be confident, and I should be able to, not let them affect me, because I am me, I am my own person. Why should I be affected by what the other person do? So, so basically digging into this inquiry about yourself, about why this is happening to you. So maybe that would be something that it could help. For me, in this particular instance, I realized in my inquiry to myself is that I was just going through a period of mourning, like crying, like mourning, MORNING, mourning. And that is because this year has been a very big change for me in terms of teaching and educating. Last year I had a decently good run. I had a good number of classes. I was teaching 3 to 4 times a week. I was establishing myself as an educator. I had so many ideas I want to implement for my children, the kids that are under me, my students that are under me. So I had a very good run. And then this year, because there were students that moved out, there were students that no longer homeschooled, in different aspects, not just things kids lah, but everybody. Many classes. I had almost every single class of mine. I had one child who is no longer homeschooled. And then people left for various reasons. So I really had to go through like this whole idea like, oh, is it because I'm not good enough? Is it because I'm not teaching it right? Is it because, all of these questions, which is basically falls into this whole imposter syndrome process. And I have to really, really work very, very hard to accept that. So this whole, I would say, the last 2 months, from December, January, no, February already, so about 3 months, I really, have to do check-ins with myself, and check and look for evidence. Check in with myself and question whether is it true. So I have this thing that I say in my head a lot whenever I face this type of I don't know, a conflict or dilemma or whatever you call this. And I would check in for evidence, right? I would check in to say, is this really true? Am I really not good? Or is it because people move on for various reasons, and people move on for a lot of various reasons, right? That is not within my control, right? So is it because of that? So I have to be very, I have to really look into the truth and not be clouded by the realness around me, right? It feels really real, like I feel really real that I'm not good enough. It feels really real that I'm not doing enough for the kids, and that's why they're leaving, so it feels really real, right? All the emotions are real, but is it really true? Right? So what's the difference between real and true? So you have to really investigate that. So, right, the truth is, what is the truth to me? So I don't know whether you have this type of thing that you experience with me, and if you do, I would like to hear about it.
Sharon, maybe just to from my point of view, based on from what you say, my point of view is that some of the reasons why people drop out is because it's hard and tiring to commit. Like, for example, if you're a schooling kid, you have to wake up at 6 a.m. every day because you have no choice, you really literally have no choice. But as a homeschooler, given that you have a choice, it's very easy to pull out when you feel tired. Like, for example, even though, like, say, Monday core, even though it's quite near my place, relatively near my place, the Monday fairy tale co-op session, but sometimes I feel so tired getting out as well. Yeah, correct. And I think it's because of these, and also the fact that being a homeschooler, they like to explore different things for their kids, and the interest just keeps changing. This time I tried this, and the next time I want to try the other thing, and which is why people move on. So I don't really think that it has something to do with you, but it's more like we have the freedom of not committing. That is the issue. In school you have to commit the full year. In homeschooling you just commit one term, that's all. Yeah, so I think that's the difference. And for Shahida,
Yeah.
based on what you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
The social media thing, what I also realized is that when they are taking pictures of the activities that they do with their kids, right? When they're taking pictures and they're taking videos, that is actually time away from the kid. And the more they upload, the more frequent they upload, it actually, to me, I realize that it actually means that there is actually more time away from the kid, because it means, yeah, you are just dedicated to building your following on social media. So your focus sometimes, right, it comes to a point, right, the focus is actually not on the kid, even though it appears in the social media it is all about the kid. No, the focus is on the back of mind is what kind of activities should I come up with to make it so interesting, so that I can, do it with my kid and take some photos and videos and show it to the whole world and post a few lines about it. I feel that is the motivations behind a lot of, I don't know, influencers. And I can't say that it's right or wrong. It's just that different people have different priorities, and it's very easy to get carried away. Yeah, you need to really introspect. I mean, not you, but for the people who are doing all this and who are making you feel lousy, even they themselves, they really also need to introspect themselves and see whether or not am I doing this for my social media posting, for my followers, or am I doing this really for my kid? I realize that it's actually a very big difference. Yeah, so don't put yourself down when you see very good posts or very frequent posts. It's a little bit of a staging effect. They're on a stage, so they need to do this. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yeah. So in both examples that you just gave, it's about checking the truthness of it, right? Whether is it really, really true? Is it really true that I'm not good enough, or is it really true because of other circumstances? Like, for example, homeschoolers have choices, or whether the social media is actually producing the right showing the right image of the entire situation. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it has to be something that you figure out on your own, right? It has to be something that you question, and then you check the truth and check the situation, check the facts, and then figure out that, okay, actually it is not. So for a long time, I'm able to do that, and actually right from the beginning, I'm able to do that. Right, I can know that I'm good, but it doesn't mean that it sits well. Right, so there is a difference between the head and the heart. So the head knows that yes, I'm not believing in this realness of emotions that I'm feeling because the truth is telling me otherwise. But where does my heart sit? Where does it sit? So there's still a certain level of discomfort in the heart, and it may not be the type that would like lead to depression because there's a certain level of awareness, but it is still this very uncomfortable feeling, So how are you going to deal with this uncomfortable feeling? How are you going to come up with the acceptance? Whatever the case lah, okay, in your whatever scenario that you go through, after you have thought out the rationality of it, but there may still could be some residual heart, emotional, uncomfortable discomfort that you have to accept. But how are you going to come to that acceptance? Anybody would like to
Sharon,
comment?
actually, I don't know, because this discomfort, right, I cannot get rid. I can't get rid of it. It's for me. It's just when I try to tell myself, okay, I'm good enough, and I've done this, and I'm on track to do this. Um, yeah, I can't get rid of the feeling, and end of the day, I always have to go back to ask myself, okay, what's my strength, what's my weakness, and then are there some questions about myself that I have not answered? I mean, and by the way, I haven't had time to really sit down and dwell into it, but yeah, I was thinking that maybe by answering some questions about myself, then I will be able to feel good about myself. But right now, I'm still not feeling that good about it. Do you have any?
This is a journey of discovery, Kyra. It will take a while. Some people take a lifetime to figure this out. Hopefully you don't.
Okay.
But yeah. Shahida?
Yeah, I mean, ever since being a mother, it's like you experience a lot of discomfort. And then there are some things, I mean, like you said, to come to the point of acceptance, it's really a work in the process. Yeah, but I think like having this kind of conversation, it gives like such, I mean, comfort, like, you're not going through it alone. Because like, sometimes when you try to tell your husband about, you're feeling all this being a mother, then he just like, you think too much, you think too much. So I think like having this also, it like makes you think, and hopefully one day you reach to that acceptance, because I also still figuring it out. Yeah.
How do you get rid
Yeah.
of the feeling?
Hmm. Um. There are a few things that I'm thinking about. Okay, so the first thing about is, do we really need to get rid of this feeling? Although I did ask you how you're going to get rid of it, but do we really need to get rid of this feeling? Is one question that I would ask. Which means that I think yeah, like, can we coexist with this feeling? Can this feeling be a way of telling us, okay, that a way of telling us that this could be a problem, but we don't have to make it into a problem. So like I'm thinking in terms of like, if this was a fight, flight, freeze kind of, primitive response, okay, that because that I'm having this type of feeling, then I'm having an amygdala hijack, right? Amygdala is your primitive brain. So the primitive brain is trying to tell us something like, oh, you should be in alert situation. You should be in alert situation. You should do something about it, But our prefrontal cortex, our front part, rational brain, would tell us that, you're safe. You're not in an emergency. And do you really need to do anything about it? So that's one question I would think about. Like, can I coexist with this feeling? In mindfulness, okay, we would see it as, does this moment change from another moment? So if this moment I'm having this uncomfortable feeling, this discomfort, in the next moment, in the next couple of days, am I still feeling this level of discomfort? Is the discomfort the same level? So so I both put it in a both mindfulness way and in terms of brain science way. So there are two ways that you can look at it in this manner of why you should actually keep with this discomfort. So that's one question I'm asking. Then the other question I'm asking is, if this is supposed to go away completely, okay, then why has it not gone away? Is there something that I haven't come to acceptance to, right? And then I had another realization recently that what I'm going through is what I would call as a period of mourning, which was why I was trying to say about mourning just now, but I didn't really explain just now. Mourning or a sense of loss, I recently read, that puts things into perspective for me, is that when you have experienced a sense of loss, a sense of mourning, we always think about it being like somebody died, somebody moved away, or something like dramatic, right? But mourning can exist in various forms. It can be a sense of loss, a sense of loss in relationship that never closed, that you never had closure. So basically anything that you never had a closure to is a form of mourning. You go through a period of mourning. And so I think what I'm going through at this level of discomfort, I don't think it's going to last. For sure, it's not going to last forever. I know that because feelings come and go, right? But I think what I'm going through at this point in time is a period of mourning. It's a period of, mourning of a loss that I wish I had students that I could work with. I wish I could have done this. I could have done so much more for these kids if these kids were with me, and things like that. I'm just going through this period of mourning of a loss. Yeah. So that's how I'm looking at it. Because I'm moving on, I'm doing a lot more things. I have cleared my head, last month we talked about the education journey and of a child and things like that. And so I have a plan, I have a plan of what I'm going to do in the next couple of months for Self Director Life, or what I'm going to do with my kids. So I do have a plan, right? But still, it's not where I need it to be. And I think that's because I'm just going through this period of mourning, that I'm still really experiencing grief in that sense, and just grieving my loss. And there's nothing wrong with that. Any thoughts about what I've just said?
I think it's great that you realize what is it that you're going through, and it's a process. So like it makes me realize also, like, maybe like now I don't really know yet what is it that it's gonna be, but I have to also like dig down and then see how the process is for myself. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Actually, my thoughts kind of sidetrack from what you say. So mine is probably nothing related to mourning, but just now you mentioned something. You say you thought about what you could have done if you have all these kids with you, right? And then it made me yeah, then suddenly my mind started thinking of another way whereby what I could have done if I have all this time to myself. I think then it made me also realize that I'm one reason why I'm feeling dissatisfied is also because always I feel I'm always finding time. There's always not enough time, right? Uh, because when I homeschool, even though Aiden goes to hospital school, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, the other days he is most of the time with me. So in a way, I feel like I'm an employed person with three kind of like 3 off days, 3 half off days, which is the mornings. And I feel that these 3 mornings are not enough to do my own things, to do whatever I want for myself. And I feel like I'm always chasing time. These 3 mornings, I feel that I cannot rest because if I rest, the time goes, and then I have a lot of backlog of things I want to do for myself. Yeah, so this also builds up with a lot of discomfort because the things that I want for myself, which is like from homeschooling, it's just moving very slowly, just too slowly. Yeah. But of course, my husband always says you got to stop thinking about this narrative. You have to stop thinking that you have no time and just make use of whatever time you have. But yeah, but I still don't feel good about it. But at the same time, I also don't want to sacrifice more time with Aiden to do more things with myself. So it's always, how to get the time? I also don't know. Yeah, to the point about, when I go for my fairy tale session, I also decided, okay, I'll just look auntie. I'll just stop wasting time to, go and put makeup or wear contact lenses, just wear specs and just go, to that point already at this stage. Yeah.
Well, when we all turn moms, we all turn very simple t-shirt and jeans, t-shirt and pants. My outdressing is always the same. Also, it's just what it is. Yeah, yeah. But I think for you, if time is an issue, then that's something that you will need to explore a little bit more and inquire a little bit more of, how can you come to the level of acceptance of the time that you have. Yeah, it seems like you haven't come into that level of acceptance, like your husband has said. But of course, it's a lot easier for somebody else to say that, right? To say, just accept lah. It's very easy to, yeah, but it's not such a straightforward process of coming to acceptance. So it takes a lot of self-discovery and self-exploration, on your own to be able to do that. Okay, I do have one last thing that I want to talk about. I know I'm coming out on the time, which is that as your child grow, I know both of your children are still quite young, and so is mine. But think about how an imposter syndrome could happen to a student, okay, to an older child. Especially if, say, they go to school in the future, or maybe even right now, for older kids, okay, not maybe right now, but when they do compare with their other friends, okay, do you think that they go through this imposter syndrome where they feel that it is not good enough? Okay, and how are you going to handle if your child has imposter syndrome? Because it's so hard for us as adults to realize that we actually have. And if you know, looking at you understand these symptoms, that you know that your child has imposter syndrome, how are you going to talk to your child?
Just right off my mind, I just, based on what you say, I happened to read a audiobook last night that says that where the author says that the thing that he thinks his mom did right about his childhood was to always tell him that he is great. So he was not good in studies, he wasn't really good at sports, and he wasn't really good at making friends. He was just average. But his mom always say that, oh, you are the kindest boy I've ever seen. So when you go out there, you have to help everybody who needs help. Or you are the most athletic boy I've ever seen. So when you go out there, the coach is gonna pick you for his team. So his mom fed him so much of this positive statements that every time he goes out, he just feels that he's damn good. In that sense, he just feels very good about it. So even if he didn't get selected for whatever sports team that he really wanted, right, he will always tell himself, it's okay, I will get in the next time. So what you say actually reminded me of this, which is that we have to be the one to assure them positively, so that they maintain a positive self-image. Yeah, because confidence is very important. So when you're confident, even if you're not good in something, you believe in yourself, so that you'll keep trying more times than someone who doesn't believe in themselves. When they don't believe in themselves, they just give up. Yeah, so only when they believe in themselves, then they will do more, try harder, try more times, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So even though you're, for example, naturally not good in sports, but if you keep believing in yourself, you end up at a better stage and better performance than you would have if you were just really just be yourself. Yeah, so maybe I thought that was quite a good one as well.
Yeah, I think that definitely, praises do help in some sense. But at the end of the day, you brought out the more important point, which is what is the view of the child? What is the belief system of the child? And it's very important that we identify that. So it depends on the child. Some children take on this what we call positive affirmation very well, because that is their love language, right? So if you give them positive affirmation, then they'll be like, yay, I'm gonna go out and do it, kind of thing. But even if it's not realistic, like if he was the worst soccer player, but you tell him, yeah, you can be the best soccer player, and then he's like, yeah, I can, But for a different child, it could be the case where, oh, I tell you that you're the best, but inside you know that you're not, and everybody else knows that you're not, and then it will have a negative impact on it, because you're hearing this, but then around you that it's not true. So it does not help in that sense. So so it really does depend on the child and the view of the child that the child has, the worldview of the child. So if you know that the child is the type that will make that differentiation, like, this is just my mom talk, this is just my parent talk to me, but it's not real in the real world, I'm not really that good, and stuff like that, it will still come in, right? So again, then, this is back to inquiry and reflection. And in fact, this is what I've been preparing for my talk next on Sunday. That the reflection in it is where it makes all the difference. And this is so big in all these things that I talk about. Is how we're going to inquire for the child, to the child. Like, how we're going to let the child know that it's okay, even though that you may not be the best player, even if you don't believe that I think that you're the best player, that's okay, and things like that. So, I think the point I'm trying to tell you is that you have to dig a little bit deeper when you have this type of discussion with your children. Like, it doesn't just stop like, you can do it, kind of positive rah-rah, it's really digging it in deeper. And, the way that we go through of this discovery about ourselves is what the child needs to go through too, with your guidance, right? So, like, oh, like, yeah, you don't feel good about this, right? Like, so why is it that you don't feel good about it? What do you think is missing here? So you have this type of conversations with your children, so that eventually they will be able to, work out their thoughts. Like, yeah, they will have to come to that realization that, yeah, maybe I'm not so good at it today. Maybe I'm going to be better at the next time. Even if I'm not so good at soccer but I have other strengths that I'm good at that other children are not good at. So they need to be able to come up with this type of conclusions on their own. And some children might find it easier than others. To come up with this type of positive affirming statements to themselves. But that is something that you need to go dig in deeper with your children to find out where they are in this journey, and then to be able to support them in that sense. Okay. How does that sound? Does that sound logical and helpful?
Thinking about it, because recently Aiden also asked me, Mama, how come I cannot do this? He's at a stage whereby he wants to do everything on his own. He will say, how come I cannot, but adults can do this? How come I cannot, but Rebecca, which is a 6 years old girl, can do this? And I always tell him it's because you are still young, so you are still learning. Now that you say this, is this a good enough reason for him? I have no idea. Yeah, what should I be looking out for instead?
Mm. Usually, I would flip the question around first. So I will ask back the child, so why do you think that you are not good enough? Why do you think that an adult can do it and you cannot? So from there on, I'm hearing what their perspective of things are. Like, oh, I'm lousy, or I'm I'm looking out for these things as a alert for myself, but I'm looking out for the way that they rationalize things and explain things, and I can't imagine what the scenario is at this point in time, but then I would.
Understand. Okay, this makes sense. Actually, I can try that. Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.